Hey guys, it's Sam. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to film this video tonight. I even posted a little teaser for it on my Instagram, which I never do, but I am going to try and be much better about actually like filming stuff on my Instagram, whether it's like little videos of me doing my makeup, which I don't do that often anymore, or pictures of things I've been using a lot, that sort of thing. I am going to try and use my Instagram more often because I always tell you guys in my description to follow my Instagram, and then I don't post to it. I'm also very seriously contemplating putting my personal Instagram and my channel Instagram together because I don't post to either that often, so it's even harder for me to keep them split, but that's something I have to work out on my own. Anyway, if you click this video, then you already know what this is all about. Today we are going to be playing with the new Urban Decay what is this? Naked... I'm like, is it the Wild West Naked or the Naked Wild West? This is the Naked Wild West palette. This was teased on their Instagram. Ooh, I don't know, not long before I bought it, if I'm completely honest with you. And normally I wouldn't even bother showing you it in the box, but this is why I wanted to. So there is some texture on the box in the form of raised letters. Absolutely beautiful. And how cute is it when you open the box? It says Most Wanted and it's super cute, sticking with the Wild West themed. The palette itself is the same as the box. It is clear plastic with like, I don't know if it's meant to be like snakeskin kind of effect underneath or what. The letters once again are raised, but there is no texture in the background of the palette. So this palette launched on February 8th. It is now February the 10th. They got it to me really quickly, and I don't know if I should be telling you this because it might screw this up for me, but really randomly, even though it said it wasn't for sale on, you know, Urban Decay or Sephora until February 8th, I was actually able to purchase this like last week. The day that I found out they were putting this out, I was able to go on the Canadian version of Urban Decay's website and put this in my cart and purchase it. Now they didn't send it to me, like I didn't get a shipping notification until Monday, which is the day that it released for everybody. So I don't know if there's like a flaw in their website or if because I'm an Urban Decay like obsessed member, meaning I purchase from them a lot, I got like a little pre-sale action. However it worked, they shipped this out to me on Monday. Today is Thursday, but I'm gonna be honest to you. Oh, so it's the 11th. It's not the 10th. I'm such a liar. But it was delivered on the 10th, but because I worked yesterday, I couldn't play with it until today. This is $68 Canadian. I don't know what the equivalent is in American, so it is the same cost as like all other Naked palettes, and I am so excited. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm obsessed with the colors in this. I just think it's so beautiful, so fun. And I saw a photo on Instagram that somebody who swatched it in two sort of arms, and the way that she had separated, if I can find the post, I will put it right here. The way she separated it, it actually made me realize that there's a lot of like cool tones and warm tone shades in this palette, which you don't often see. Like most palettes, especially neutraler palettes, kind of stick to either a warm undertone or a cool undertone. With this one, you're getting a bit of both, which I really like. I think that there's a ton you could do with this. Something definitely more dark and sultry with some of these dark colors, something fun with some of those teals and blues, and definitely something really easy, neutral, glowy with the golds and the peaches and all of that. As with every other Urban Decay eyeshadow palette, this one does come with a double-ended brush, and this one has a clear barrel to it. I'm actually really into that. I never ever, I don't know why, I never use the brushes that come with the palettes, which is the most crazy thing because I probably should, but I just never use them. So I have a bunch of Urban Decay Naked palettes that all still have brushes in them because I just don't use them. But I am so excited to play with this. And as I kind of said in the title, to me, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when I first saw this, and I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this or if other people felt this way too, it really gave me a lot of Wet n Wild, what is this called? The Not a Basic Peach? Yeah, Not a Basic Peach eyeshadow palette. Like, kind of similar vibes. There's definitely some colors in here that are similar. Obviously, you know, I think this one has more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 colors in this palette, only 10 in here. But there's definitely some shades that are quite similar. So after I am done sort of swatching all of this palette on my arm, which we're gonna do because we gotta see how the shadows behave, I'm also going to sort of leave gaps and swatch some of the colors in here that I think are similar and see how close they actually are. So it is time to swatch. I've got a sleeveless shirt on because I knew that I would be putting a lot on my arm. Also, I've already got some swatches on my arm, not because I've been filming today, but I was trying to decide which bronzer to use, and I ended up finding two that I was like, are these the same color? And I was just comparing, so that's where that's from. Anyway, let's get straight into swatching the palette. Now, one of the things I love about Urban Decay, and a lot of brands do this, is I really like that they write the names underneath the shadows. Especially for me being on YouTube, it's really easy for me to like talk you guys through what kind of looks I'm doing. Whereas with some palettes that just put the names on the back, it can be really, really difficult to like decide which order the shadows go in, if you know what I mean. All right, so now it's time to get swatching. So first color in the Wild West palette is called Standoff. Really, really soft formula. What Urban Decay Naked palettes are known for. It's kind of like a cream color, would be really, really good for sort of setting all over your lid. It kind of looks, I know it's really hard to see, it's very, very pale color. I'm hoping you guys can see it like at all. It's right here where my finger is. Just there. I know it's hard to see because I've like got bronzer right above it. Really, really pale color would be really good for, like I said, someone like me to set like a primer or anything like that, or just like a really good all over the lid color to help build other colors. Nothing particularly that special about that. Now, I will say that in my mind, that looks a lot like the transition color in this palette. So let's kind of see how close they are. So this is the Urban Decay one, and this is the transition shade that comes in the Wet n Wild palette. So once again, I'm going to put more of that Urban Decay one there. I'm hoping you guys can kind of see it a little better now. And right underneath, so that is the one from Wet n Wild. So the one from Wet n Wild is just a bit deeper, a bit darker, similar texture, both very, very soft, very creamy, very nice. Next color in the palette is Spur. This is like a peachy kind of almost mango-y color. Like, it's not quite peach, it's got a little bit more yellow in it. So we're gonna put that right there. Really, really pretty color, just really soft, really nice, would again be really pretty. There's not really a color in the Wet n Wild palette that's close to it. I guess the closest one would be like this peach shade, but that's more of a true peach than this one, so I'm not even gonna bother like swatching to compare. Next color is called Nudie, and this color does this have a friend? No, not really. Okay, I'm wrong. So this is the color Nudie from the Naked palette. Really, really pretty, like crease color to start building, or again, for all over the lid. Really nice transition-y kind of shade. Absolutely gorgeous. I feel kind of guilty putting this color here now because I think it's going to be a bit of a misconception of what this palette is, because the true color is above it and you can like barely see it. But whatever. So now we're in for our first shimmer color. This one is called Hold'em. It is like a really pretty golden sort of shimmer. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous color. Here it is here. So that's really pretty. It's got kind of like an orange copper reflect to it. Now there is a shade in the Wet n Wild palette that is similar. I unfortunately broke mine, but whatever. So these are the two side by side. So this is the one in the Wet n Wild palette, more of a pure yellow golden. This one kind of is a little more interesting to me because it does have a bit of that like copper shift. Rather than put them down my arm, I'm actually gonna swatch these two on my hand just so there's no confusion. This is what the two look like together. So once again, the top one is that new Urban Decay one. The bottom one is the Wet n Wild one. The next color is another shimmer color, really, really pretty. It's called Cowboy Rick. Who's Rick? Where is that like a known thing? Somebody who's more into like Western, let me know if that's like a really well-known person. Like I know who like John Wayne is, but who's Cowboy Rick? Anyway, so this color is kind of like a sort of silver, but it looks like it's got like a little bit of pink or like lilac in it. Really, really pretty color. Here it is right there. Yeah, it's definitely pulling like champagne-y kind of vibes. And in the palette, I guess it does that too. I'm gonna just hold this up so you guys can see like it kind of has a little bit of shift to it. Like it looks like it almost has a silver base, but pulls a little bit more like champagne-y rose gold. I'm really into that. And there is definitely no comparison in the Wet n Wild shadow. Now we're getting into Laredo. This is probably the next stage up for a crease color. This is definitely cool tone in my books. It's kind of like a grayish sort of color, like a gray beigey kind of tone going here. It is matte. Pulls a little more brown than I was expecting, but that's okay. I think I thought it would be a little bit more of like a gray tone, but still really, really on point, really in theme with the palette so far. We are getting into the second half of the palette now, and this is probably one of the shades I'm the most excited for. This is Bud. This is that beautiful, beautiful green, and this is where we're really going to see a comparison or lack thereof to that Not a Basic Peach palette. So here is the color. Here it is like a teal, turquoisey blue, beautiful, beautiful shimmer shade. It's not quite like a metallic like the other two, but definitely some reflection in there. So here is this shade right here. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, pulling a little more of that like sea foamy tone on my hand than it was on my finger, where I was getting a little bit more of like a minty green vibe. So it's really interesting to see how the colors look a little different depending on, you know, what you put them with, how much you have. They might look different on the eyes than they do on the arm. I'm really intrigued by this palette so far. Let's see if this is at all similar to the blue shade in the Wet n Wild palette. So first things first, this is one of the first colors that I have, like this is gonna sound bad and I was gonna say something about this later, but that I have so completely preferred in the Naked palette. The rest of the colors, honestly, in terms of the softness and the formula, are quite comparable to both. I actually found the gold in the Wet n Wild palette a little bit creamier, but that could also be just the texture in the shadow from the Urban Decay palette. But this is the first one where this is the Wet n Wild and this is the Wild West palette, and this one just to me is far superior. You know, they pull quite similar on here, but this one's definitely got a little bit more reflection in it, a little bit more interest, and definitely a softer formula. I would say that this one was a little harder to pull color from, whereas this one was much more pigmented. Next color is Rustler. This is kind of like a bronzy, metallic kind of a shade. Really pretty, kind of like rusty colored. I really like that. Put it here. Ooh! That color goes for days. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, the closest to it in this palette is not really that close. There's actually two colors that kind of like maybe if they were mixed together would get us there. So this is that Urban Decay one, and these are the two like metallic ones from that Wet n Wild palette. So again, not very close. I'm starting to wonder if there was a point in me trying to compare them, because at the end of the day, they have similar themes of colors, I would say. But those are the three right there. They are nothing even close to that one from the Urban Decay palette. It is just superior in pigmentation, in formula, in softness and creaminess. And I mean, the colors aren't the same anyways. Next color we have is Ghost Town. This is like your burnt orange kind of brown color. Really pretty. Another good crease color. I really like this. There's tons you could do with it. A lot of different crease colors to take you in different directions depending on where you want to go with it. Here it is right now. It's kind of like that rusty red. There is a shade quite similar to this in the Wet n Wild palette. Here they are together. So this is the Urban Decay, this is the Wet n Wild. They are really similar. I actually almost forgot which one was which, but the bottom is Urban Decay and the top is Wet n Wild. I'm running out of space on my hand. There they are. So the inside one, Urban Decay, outside one, Wet n Wild. These two colors are very similar. Next color we have is Whiskey. This is absolutely gorgeous. It is like a dark kind of warm chocolate brown color. Really, really pretty. Would make a really pretty eyeliner as well, I think. There it is. So far, the mattes in the second half of the palette are performing for me a lot better than in the first half of the palette. Now, once again, there isn't an exact comparison to this color, but they do also have a dark brown in the Wet n Wild palette. So that is the dark brown in the Wet n Wild, where it's a very, very, very dark, like fudgy brownie kind of brown, whereas this one is more of like a milk chocolate or, you know, chocolate bar kind of brown, like an Aero bar sort of thing. So I will put these two colors, I'm completely out of space, so I'm gonna just stick them underneath my arm. Again, nothing like each other, but I think it really depends on what you're going for. If you just like the color story of the palette as a whole and you're not looking for these specific shades, the Wet n Wild one might just do it for you. It is definitely a fraction of the price. I'm kind of gonna put it away now because there are no other colors in here that compare. So in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 colors out of here are similar to ones in here. I just think that the palettes as a whole, kind of the color story does look quite similar. It was just kind of an experiment and a thought for those people who are maybe more on a budget and are looking for, you know, a similar color story at a fraction of the price. So hopefully that helped anybody that was looking at that. Or if you're like me and just thought that when you saw this, maybe this helped you decide, no, they're not close enough. I don't want to just stick with that. Or, you know what, close enough, I've already got the Wet n Wild palette, maybe I don't need the Urban Decay one. So there are 2 more colors in this Urban Decay palette we're gonna look at. The first one is Text. It is a dark matte teal, really, really pretty color. Running out of room, good thing we're almost to the end now. Ooh, she's really pretty. I really like that color. It's like almost like a combo foresty green teal, if you know what I mean. It definitely pulls a little bit more green vibes than blue vibes. And the last color is a really, really interesting, like gray brown tone. It's called Pony Up. Really, really pretty shade, and we're gonna put this one right on our elbow. But again, it does pull a little bit brown in a swatch. So that is the 12 plus one Wet n Wild colors of the new Urban Decay not Wet n Wild. This is so bad because they sound so similar. Wild West palette. So far, I am really, really happy with the quality, really, really happy with the color story. I'm just excited and looking forward to getting this onto my eyes. Originally, I was actually going to do 2 separate eye looks, trying to use every color in the palette. I was going to split it into those cool tones and the warm tones that we saw earlier and see how it went. But at the end of the day, I've decided not to do that because there are some colors in here that I just want to see how they play together. And they do come from both sides. And I kind of, you know, want a cohesive look. I don't really want 2 different colored eyes. Not that it matters, not that I'm going anywhere, but let's get right into doing a look. So first I'm going to take a nice fluffy kind of brush and we're gonna go into that standoff color. That's that color that's virtually non-apparent, and I am just going to use that to set some of my eyeshadow primer. Of course, for eyeshadow primer today, I have got my MAC Painterly Paint Pot. It is my favorite eyeshadow primer. I've said this in a few videos before, but unless I can find like an eyeshadow primer that really knocks that one out of my top spot, I'm not gonna bother buying them anymore because I never use them and I never like them as much as my MAC one, so it's just kind of a waste of money at this point. Like the Urban Decay Potion Primer is nice, but it's just a little too thin for me. I just like the way the MAC one sits. It really colors any discoloration or veining you have in your eyelids. It just, for me, is the top. So unless it's something like a Too Faced glitter glue that has a very, very specific purpose, I'm just gonna stick to the MAC one from now on. Sorry about my little rant there, but it was important that you know that. Next, let's take the color Nudie. It's like this color right here. And I'm gonna take that and I'm going to, okay, these are really soft shadows and they're kicking up a lot of powder in the palette. Just something to be aware of. I'm just going to lay this all completely kind of in my crease and a little bit on my socket bone just to bring it a little higher. You guys know me, I don't wear eyeshadow super, super high. But light colors like this, I don't mind doing that with. I think it creates some nice definition, some interest. I just love the way that Urban Decay shadows blend together. I recently also purchased the Naked Honey palette, which is a very, very old palette, but you know, I'd wanted it for so long and then I didn't want it and then I wanted it again, and oh my goodness, I just love Urban Decay shadows. They are some of my favorites. Their palettes are just beautifully put together. I love them so much. Like, I am a MAC girl through and through, but sometimes MAC palettes aren't the best quality, especially if they're limited edition. If they're their like OG like 9x palettes and things like that, they're normally fantastic, but sometimes they do falter with their limited edition ones. Exception to that, the Christmas collection last year was really, really good, but I just prefer MAC single shadows, especially because then you get to pick all your own colors, but the color stories in Urban Decay are so, so good. Anyway, stop talking. Let's get into Laredo. That's like that grayish one. I'm just going to use this kind of deeper in my socket and on my lid. I hope I'm close enough to you guys. I don't want to zoom you too close, but close enough where you guys can see what the heck I am doing. Right there, just like that, really pretty. For me today, this look is going to be all about building a bunch of colors in different areas, really, really getting some good definition, some good shading and blending going on. We're not rushing this, we're just taking it easy, having some fun. Because again, the last video I filmed, which hasn't actually come out yet because this palette got here faster than I thought it was going to, I was so just like defeated in general with makeup. Like, or at least with filming, I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. I didn't see the point of doing it anymore. I was getting to this bad place with my channel where I wasn't having fun. And I feel like now I'm going back to like being really happy to just play with makeup and share it with you guys. And that just means the world to me. So for anybody who watches and is positive with comments and answers polling questions when I ask you guys to, thank you so much. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. Next color I'm going to go into is Whiskey, and this color, again, just in more of the outer portion of our eye, but again, very, very much in the crease, maybe a little bit out so that you can kind of see it a bit. And again, I like to keep a more rounded look to my eye. If you're one of those people that likes to do a nice sharp line and then wing some liner, definitely go for that. Certainly, you know, that is probably the most popular thing, but it just doesn't suit me very well. In my opinion, I mean, maybe you guys feel differently. I've done it a few times. I'm also really, really bad at it. Next color I want to take, and I want to just brush it all underneath my eye as well, is actually one we've already played with before. I'm going to go back into Laredo. It's that kind of like smoky grayish. I just think that that one would look so pretty smoked underneath with a pencil brush, so it's not too far away from my lashes. I don't want it kind of going all in my under eye because then it's going to make you look, you know, really like tired probably and like too much. So just a little light brushing right close to that lash line I think is really, really pretty. So far I am loving this. This palette is just giving me like, I don't ever say things like this, but good vibes only. I think that's the popular, I'm like dating myself now. I'm like, isn't that what the kids say today? Next I'm gonna go into Pony Up. It's a bit of that dark color, and I'm just using that kind of right in the outer, oopsies. Did I just screw everything up? Nope, we're okay. Right in the outer corner, just for a little depth. Not too much, just a little bit, because this is quite a strong color, and I don't want to take away from all of the building and the blending we've already done. It's just like that. Now, we're definitely going to get into one, if not both, of those teal colors. I want to see how they play on the eyes. I think that is very important. So let's, you know what, let's take the Tex Up color. This wasn't the one I was going to play with. I want to put a little underneath. Again, this time rather than dragging it, I'm just dotting it underneath because I just want a little bit of that teal, a little bit of darkness. And I'm not going all the way across my lower lash line, kind of just the outer third to outer half depending on how careful I'm being. Just like that. So it kind of gives a little darkness under there. I kind of like this eye better. It's a little closer, a little tighter to the lash line, but I can blend that no problem. Maybe I'll just add a little bit more here to even them out. Just like that. Okay. Colors that I still want to play with. I still really want to use that Cowboy Rick color. That's that like transition-y color. Super, super gorgeous. We're definitely going to be using that more in the inner corner. We're going to use some of that Bud color. I'm just using my fingertip and I'm actually just going to put it in, do I want the center? Yeah, let's do in the center of our eye. Ooh, she's pretty. So I just put like a really good dot in the center. We're probably going to have to build up some more of this in a little bit. But I'm just going to start like that. I'm going to take some of that Rustler color. That's like that dark bronzy sort of a tone. I'm going to use that more in the outside, blend the green into it. Ooh, that's kind of an interesting effect. Look at that. They blend really nice together, which is crazy considering they are such different colors. But blended together, it is very reminiscent of like this whole snake skinny thing that they've got going on the front. Really, really pretty. I really like that. Never mind, I'm not adding more of the blue. I kind of just like that effect. Now we are definitely taking some of that Cowboy Rick color. It's just too gorgeous to pass that up. So we're going to put that in the inner corner, like inner third of our eye, and then into the inner corner as an inner corner highlight. Now this is a very glittery shade. There is some minor fallout with it. Just be aware. And very cautious. And I think we're done playing with the palette. This look did not go where I thought it was gonna go, if I'm completely honest. I'm gonna add some eyeliner, some mascara. You guys will be so proud of me. I bought for the first time in like, definitely since I've had my channel, but probably like 10 years, I bought a eyelash curler today. I haven't had one in so long. I'm gonna curl my eyelashes, we're gonna put some eyeliner on, and then we're gonna come back and talk about how this palette went in my eyes. Alrighty, so this is my completed look. I got a little out of control on some of the like outer range of my eye, but I'm really happy with how it looks. I think it's a really cool combination of both cool tones and warm tones, which I normally wouldn't do, and I don't know why, but I'm really happy with how this turned out. So a few things that I will say, they do kick up quite a bit of powder in the palette itself. I did notice some fallout, particularly with those glitter shades. Not so much with the mattes. I think if you're really careful with your brush and maybe tap off the excess, you'll be okay. I mean, I found some on my face, but I also had it on my fingers and then used like my face as an anchor point to put on eyeliner. Also, in case you're wondering, the eyeliner I put on is Urban Decay Perversion eyeliner. Really, really good eyeliner. Good to keep nice and tight to the lash line. And the mascara I'm wearing is Urban Decay's Lash Freak. Again, really, really nice. Different kind of mascara. It takes a little while to figure out how to use the brush, but definitely worth it. So my final thoughts on this palette. The quality is fantastic. The pigmentation, amazing. Blendability, I think it's a really good variety of shades. I think it is worth the money if and only if this is your color story. Not every eyeshadow palette is for everybody. We all like different things. Different colors suit us. For example, every time I've ever put anything red or like, not like, I'm not saying like light pink, but like really pink on my eyes go really like almost bloodshot and dead looking. It doesn't work so well for me as it maybe would for somebody else. Blues aren't always the best on my eyes. I can do it, but it's not my favorite look. I'm more of like a green kind of yellowy kind of girl. That's just my preference. Everybody likes something different. Everyone thinks something different looks on their face. Everybody likes the way different things look on their face. So if this color story is not for you, then of course, don't bother. Do I think this is the best palette that anybody has ever put out ever? No, I don't. And maybe for you too, I did a little comparison, a little kind of like dupe trial for these two palettes. They do have a similar color story. They have some similar shades. So maybe if you already have this palette and you don't get enough use out of it and you were thinking about getting this one, maybe don't bother. Or if you have this palette for the few shades that are the same as this and don't really care about the rest, then maybe that's the same. But if you are at all contemplating getting this, if it's really speaking to you, I definitely say go ahead and get it. I think it was really, really worth it. I think you could do a lot with it. A lot of really pretty everyday looks, definitely something more smoky, more dramatic, depending on what you like. I think it is a really, really good variety and a decent price. I have always thought, ow, I just pinched my hair in this. I've always thought that Urban Decay palettes are fairly reasonably priced. I know $68 is a lot to spend on an eyeshadow palette, but in the grander scheme of things, when I think of, you know, some crazy high-end palettes, how much Natasha Denona palettes cost, how much Pat McGrath palettes cost, Marc Jacobs palettes, I think that paying $68 for a 12 pan eyeshadow palette is not really all that bad in my opinion. But again, that is just my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed filming it. What is your favorite Urban Decay Naked palette? I feel like they come out with them all the time now. There's been so many. I've got a lot of them. I don't have all of them, but I want to know what your favorite is. Are you gonna get the Wild West Naked palette, or are you gonna skip this one and wait for the next one? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I will catch you guys next time. Bye.